Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wist. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Christopher Young, how are you today? Tell me about how it's been in Canada. You come to Canada usually once a year.
Yes, I come here once a year. Michael, thank you for having me on board again.
Always a pleasure.
I'm thrilled to be here, truly thrilled.
Yeah.
And yes, roughly once a year these days, I come back to the same location that as a kid I used to come with my family. And again, this is in a little town called Point Comfort.
Yes.
And you would say, how far is it north of Ottawa? About an hour and...
hour and change. Close to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Hour and a half to 2 hours.
Hour and a half to 2 hours.
The roads are, Quebec, they don't have great roads.
No, they don't. So, yeah.
A little delayed
a little bit
but we
north.
made it on time.
And why here? It's because years ago, my grandfather, my mom's dad, discovered this area. Again, it's a little town wedged between two lakes.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And he discovered because a friend of his came up here to fish and shoot whatever.
Yeah, country stuff.
Yeah. And so my grandfather fell in love with it, and he ended up buying a cabin on the ridge between these two lakes. And after my mom got married, his daughter, we came here as a family. Anyway, yeah, we came up here because of my grandfather.
Yeah.
We had a cabin. He let us as a family come and stay at it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And so we would come up here every summer, and then so I'm reconnecting with that. And
yeah,
that's how we met.
That's how we met, and it's great to have a movie buddy.
Yeah,
to just talk about all the stuff we like.
Yeah.
Because when you come into rural environments, you don't necessarily think of records and talk about Goblin or whatever it is, and all the wide array of cultural topics that we touch upon. So
exactly.
To have a buddy.
Well, that's great. That's great. I guess where you're
from,
it's hard to find them out where you're from, right? Where's your place?
In Ottawa?
You're right in Ottawa.
I'm right in Ottawa. Okay. But yeah, we have some cool people, but it's a government town, and arts ain't really the name of the game. No. However, last year we talked about a concert you were going to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was supposed to be this Halloween, but it's still going on. But
it's still going to go on. It's just it needed more time. It's going to be a year from this Halloween, sometime in October.
Yeah,
we've been sussing out the theaters. Mm-hmm. It's going to require a big stage. It's not like a lot of the concerts that are happening now, where a horror concert. This is going to be a Halloween concert.
Yeah,
Goblin.
Yeah,
it's a band. It's a 6-piece band or whatever.
How many pieces do you need?
Well, this is going to be a lot. This is going to be like 90 people.
Oh my God. 90 people.
Well, it's going to be...
And you're going to be conducting?
Orchestra, choir. About 80 to 90 people, maybe, and then some soloists. And if I do the score from Ghost Rider, I'm going to have a heavy metal band on the stage. And so I'm really excited. I really want this thing to turn out like no other, like the Halloween concert to end all Halloween concerts. And it's orchestral. It's not a rock thing. It's not.
No, it's not like John Carpenter or
like
Fabio Frizzi or Claudio Simonetti. You're doing something. You
entirely
are
orchestra.
You're like the Peterdecki of this game.
Yeah. So that's, and of course there will be music from Hellraiser, Hellbound. I've prepared suites of scores from the genre films I've worked on. I haven't decided exactly what it is I'm going to feature, but. There'll be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We're trying to turn it into an extravaganza. And like I said, if I get soloists or additional players, I want to get celebrity players to show up.
Yeah, of course.
And then try to get some of the actors.
Doug Bradley,
I'm going to see if I can get Doug Bradley
whoever it is.
Or Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser, and some of the gang, maybe Tara Reid from Urban Legend.
Oh, that would be cool. She's fun.
She's great. And so we'll see. I mean, it all depends upon the availability. I have to lock down the date.
Yeah.
It is going to be in L.A., and for Christ's sakes, I would adore for, anyone that it's going to be a one-shot deal.
Which I did, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
You're going to be there. I'll have to make sure you're there.
That would be the coolest thing.
It'll be out of this world fun.
That would be the coolest thing.
Yeah. People in costumes, we're going to and try to, decorate the place.
Morricone's on his final European tour. You're going to carry the torch.
Oh, I appreciate
when it comes to like that orchestral sound, like concert thing. I think this is because people love there is that niche audience for this thing. I mean, I only fingers crossed that this show just goes off with a bang. And if you're in LA and listen to this show, guys, you got to check it out.
And though I've done, as you know, films other than horror films, the horror thing is what I feel is going to get people in.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah.
But
once they're there, then you can mix it up.
But I'm not going to mix it up.
Not too much. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
At first I thought I was going to do that, and then I got wise and said, if this is going to be if this is going to be a Halloween concert, let's go entirely horror. All the way.
And if it goes well, then there'll be lots of opportunities to do all the other stuff.
Yeah, so I'm going to do just nothing but...
Because the Christopher Young sound is... I'm going to get to that, but I believe it's very hard to pinpoint.
Okay.
Because it's here, it's there.
It's here. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. But in the horror films, it's somewhat consistent.
Right.
Until
Sinister.
What's that? Until Sinister. I guess until Sinister.
No. I'm just joking around. This is what I think. But
no, you're right. You're right.
It's a different
electronic score. All electronics.
All electronic.
All electronics, and that was a thing I've been wanting to do, but hadn't had a chance to do.
All right, we're talking about this. So you were talking about in Vienna.
Oh yes.
Tell us about Vienna and Portrait of Mr. Boogie.
Oh yeah,
What's
Portrait
the
of Mr. Boogie is the opening track on the CD.
It is,
and you reminded me that it's the one that features that little sound motive. The wow, wow, wow.
When it kicks in, it's a build up.
Yeah, it builds up.
It's like the main theme to the thing. That's like 3 or 4 minutes of almost, you're not even sure if the track's playing.
Oh, okay.
And then it just explodes.
Oh, then explodes, okay.
And that's the same thing.
Okay.
I love when that happens.
Good. That's the way it was. Good. I'm glad you like that.
The slow build.
Slow build.
I don't mind a little slowness as long as it pays off.
Yeah.
Right? You want to feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah, it pays off, I think. Yeah.
And you said, though, in a ride in Vienna.
Yeah. So anyway, I was in Vienna teaching, and I had to visit the famous Prater, the amusement park, again, the one that's featured in The Third Man, at least the Ferris wheel is. And I love amusement parks. I adore amusement parks, and that's probably one of the top most famous amusement parks. So I'm just wandering around alone, and in the distance I hear...
That was so strange.
And I get, it's just looping, kind of, and I was thrilled to find out that the owner of the only dark ride at the amusement park chose it as his theme music.
Did you tell him, like, hey, by the way,
I did. I told him, and then of course there was this moment. I mean, he was struggling with English. The only language I can speak is English. Mm-hmm. So
same here. We would be better off if we could speak other languages.
Yeah, I can't. I can barely. I struggle with English.
Music is a language, though.
What's that?
Music is a language.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Music is probably the one I'm most able to speak. In. English, I struggle with. Everything else, forget it. But I remember the owner was an older man, and he initially was concerned that he thought that maybe I was there to get on his back for not having licensed it.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
No, and I said, listen, I am thrilled. Don't worry about the licensing, any of that. This is an honor. And once that was taken care of, then he opened up his arms to me. And apparently he and his family had run some of the rides at the amusement park. It's all a family sort of run amusement park. And once upon a time, families used to actually live there on the amusement grounds.
Jeez.
And so what he ended up doing is he took me backstage and he showed me his workroom where he made all of the monsters for this dark ride. Wow. And that was fascinating. So I was with him for at least an hour and a half or something, and
looking at that carnival stuff.
Looking at the carnival stuff that he made for that ride.
Yeah.
And
great horror, I would say, is kind of like a great roller coaster ride.
Oh,
the
God,
up
yes.
and down.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm not the first one to come up with that metaphor, but I wanted to talk about. We're talking about the concert, and I spent some time on your site yesterday. Your website?
Oh yeah.
It's a good site.
Oh, is it?
I like the site. I like the pictures. I like the stuff with you behind the scenes, but they have little news items like Drag Me to Hell coming out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Everyone should know. Everyone should pick that up. It's a great movie.
I'm not really. I have to have people take care of that for me because I'm not big on that.
No.
And
you're not tweeting either.
No, I'm not doing that. I know I'm so technologically backwards.
That's not a bad thing, though. Why don't we just let the work speak for itself and then let other people?
Well, but you can use that and to your advantage. And I got to do some revisions, because I think it will help my visibility, Because
the updates are kind of like sparse, but I like what I saw. But what the one at the top is Wilson's Heart.
Oh, Wilson's Heart. Okay.
The soundtrack that you did for a video game.
That's right.
So we're talking about versatility and what is the Christopher Young sound. And that was like, do you ever play video games?
I'm embarrassed to say I had never ever played a video game.
Yeah.
I watched my son play them.
Sure.
But I'm not that kind of a guy. I used to play pinball machines when I was a kid.
That kind of counts.
That was the extent of it. I never graduated.
You weren't playing
Pac-Man. I wasn't playing Pac-Man or all that. The original video games.
Yeah.
No.
So the video games was not part of your life, but But one thing that you have a little letter, sort of, or I don't know if it's like in the CD, but it's there on the site, and you talked about the sheer quantity of music that is required for a video game.
Well, video games, you can be on that on a video game for years.
It becomes your life sometimes.
It kind of, but it's on and off.
Sure.
I mean,
but we know like some people, and I'm not saying like it's your fault, obviously, but like some people, they live for the games.
Right.
They work and they
live
come
for the
home.
games. Yeah. No. I know that there are fans that adore. I mean, live for them.
Yeah.
But as a composer, no. I was involved with the show for about 2 years. And it was an on and off thing, with movies, you're in and you're out really quickly. It
wasn't like that.
No, it was like 2 years. I worked on it for a bit, then they were off working on the design, and then they'd come back at me. So at the end of I think it's about around 2 years, I'd written, was it 3 hours of music for it? It was like a massive amount.
3 hours?
Yeah, it was a massive amount of music. And
the game has kind of like a retro horror vibe, right?
That's right.
The reason, why
did they choose me? I was wondering why would they choose a guy who's never done this before? Well, that's precisely the reason that I'd never done one before. They liked that because I was kind of a virgin, in that world, and they had the owners of the company, a Twisted Pixel, had fallen in love with the score I did for Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, well.
And so that's the one that opened up the door. The game itself is a black and white.
Yeah. Kind of like a 50s like sci-fi.
Yeah.
Thing.
Horror. It's
horror. Okay.
Black and white horror circa the 30s Universal movies.
Ooh. Now we're talking.
And,
Little Frankenstein, James Whale or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a James Whale thing. It's like the James Will Frankenstein thing. And, and the Carl Freund, which ones did he do? Did he do Wolfman? I'm embarrassed to say. But anyway, that look,
Lon Chaney
Jr.
was,
the old Universal
The Mummy, Boris Karloff,
Lugosi, that whole gang.
That's a great scene to even emulate, to be a part of.
Yes,
you weren't alive then, but this is your way to throw your hat to those guys.
Exactly. So that's what they hired me for. They said, "Can you give us something like Drag Me to Hell?" And I said, "Sure." So it started off with me sort of following in the footsteps of that. The main theme features violin and is for violin and orchestra, just like the Drag Me to Hell. Drag Me to Hell's main theme is. But then I wrote about an hour's worth of music that was in that style, or 45 minutes to an hour's worth. And then I decided, as they got further into the game, that I was going to try altering that a bit.
Oh.
And so...
Because you don't want to repeat yourself. You want to, as an artist, go into the different territories, I'm sure.
Sure. You can never... If you're doing nothing but trying to repeat yourself, it's a losing battle. You can never really improve on something you did well the first time.
Yeah.
And it's a losing battle. I remember having to deal with that. After Jennifer 8, I did a film called Jennifer 8, and that was the score that kind of became the go-to for romantic thriller music, and it was temped in so many movies. I got asked repeatedly, "Can you give us another Jennifer 8?" So I called them Jennifer 9, Jennifer 10, Jennifer 11. But they were basically rip-offs of that. They never added up. The best was still Jennifer 8. So I started with the Drag Me to Hell thing. And then, and this is all going to be done with a live orchestra ultimately. But at the end of the day, that never happened. And so the orchestral stuff on the CD is just mocked up stuff. But I must say, once I decided, for the CD and the picture, once it was decided it was going to be mocked up, I had fun playing around and doing things that you couldn't do with a live orchestra, meaning doing panning things and transposing things and filtering the sampled orchestra. And so the few orchestra tracks on the CD are fun because they're different.
Yeah.
Balls to the wall. I mean, you haven't heard it yet. You should check it out.
I don't game myself. I used to play the video games.
Well, just get the CD. Let's listen to the CD.
I'll listen to the CD, absolutely.
Yeah, the CD
I haven't listened to it yet,
pretty vivacious, the orchestra stuff. But then I got into the sort of weird chamber stuff.
Oh.
And that's kind of where the majority of the score went. And they adored the direction. I left behind, and it still was dark and creepy, but kind of, I don't know how do you describe it, just the odd chamber stuff.
Right. What I just wanted to also let our audience know you got nominated for a Golden Globe.
I did. Yes.
And you're also nominated for an Emmy. So you've done television.
Times,
yeah. So what's it like for TV? I mean, is it the same as video games? Is it more music than a film? Do they kind of use the same stuff over and over again? What's the difference between, now we're talking about the difference of a film and a video game. What's the difference between film and TV?
And television. Television, I really can't speak about with any kind of authority. Why? Because the TV stuff I did were movies. They were television.
Oh,
made for television.
TV movies. Oh, okay.
I never did a series.
You never did a series. Oh, okay.
I've never done a series, and doing a series is absolute insane. Yeah. It's insanity because the amount of music you have to write in a week for a TV series, let alone if you have multiple TV series, it's not humanly possible. And so you need to bring people in to help. And so I've never done that.
Would you do it though? If the right opportunity came around, you like the material?
I would do a TV series, but to have a team of people in there ghostwriting for me, I just have never been a fan of that.
No,
I don't.
You're not like a by committee guy. It's
I'm not a by committee guy, but it's not like I disrespect those guys in the slightest bit.
No,
that's the way it has to get done. Someone has to do that. And the guys that do it are absolutely brilliant at knowing what's needed for these shows and being able to manage the volume of music. I mean, they're putting out hours of music every week. I mean, seriously.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how do you do it without flipping out? I mean, you have to really... I probably wasn't cut out for that. But doing like a cable television show or a show where, you know...
I want to see an HBO show scored by Christopher Young. That would be so cool.
That would be cool.
You know, like, so I'm not talking about like some like run-of-the-mill, like anything pumping out.
I would adore doing that.
But something like you know, whether it's horror or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. But you know, if it happens, you know, cool. If not, you know, there's a lot of work to point to. That's great. So I wanted to ask you though, so that we kind of get in that, like, you've done so many styles of film.
Yes.
People don't like necessarily know that. Like for this intro concert, it's gonna be hard. But there's Swordfish, there's Spider-Man.
Right, sure.
There's Shipping News.
Shipping News was a drama,
there's the Darwin movie.
Yeah, right.
You know, Tales from the Hood.
Right.
Tales from the Hood. I mean, African American stuff. So many different vibes. So I was just wondering, like, I'm gonna kind of phrase this in 2 bits. What is it that makes you want to like put your hat in so many arenas? And also, what is the Christopher Young sound?
Okay. Why would I want to put my head in so many different arenas? Well, you know, when I moved out to LA in 1980-ish, a sign of a successful or a qualified film composer was someone who was able to be a jack of all trades, to write in a variety of styles. That's something that you aspired to do and were expected to do back in those days. And the guys that I had the greatest respect for, or I mean, the composers I really admired, were able to they were able to mutate their language. Jerry Goldsmith, Elmer Bernstein, David Raxon, the person I studied with, they all were able to write in a variety of styles.
Bernard Herrmann, your guy.
Bernard Herrmann was able to write in a variety of styles. But they all ultimately sounded like them. You know?
You get a sound.
And so that was part of it. And so that was something I felt I needed to be able to do, whether I wanted to or not.
Oh, it's just like a competitive, like, market.
Yeah, it's a competitive thing. It's a competitive it's a marketing element that was crucial.
Okay, so
but
with all these scores, what is the sound?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. Number two was my brain was fascinated and capable of thinking in a variety of styles.
Yeah.
It's not like if someone said, hey, Chris, like they did in Shipping News, you just mentioned that one.
Yeah.
We need an Irish-based score for this, a score that sounds like it might have been written by an Irishman, you know, utilizing those instruments, because the film takes place in Newfoundland. Can you do that? I said, of course I can. And I went out and, no, I'd never done that before. So I went off and listened to the Irish music and got it into my head and then made it me, or tried to make it me.
Yeah.
But that to me was a challenge, always researching, being the musicologist or whatever, always fascinated by musics of all different styles and countries. Loved the sonorities as an orchestrator, the combination of different instruments. You know, that always was something, the colors, the sounds, that in itself made music that was not one type interesting. So I did a little bit of everything, and it was beneficial on one hand, meaning that I never would tire on one genre. I never burnt myself out or kept repeating myself, so that, in fact, when I kept coming around to spooky movies, which seemed to be where most of the calls were coming from, ultimately, because of the success of the movies, I was always trying to be fresh. I'd gotten away from it. I hadn't been doing nothing but horror. You know, if I'd done nothing but horror, I could see after 15 movies burning out on it. You know.
Oh, yeah.
But I was lucky, and then I moved around. Now, what is my sound?
What is your sound?
What is my sound?
Like, you bring order to chaos and horror.
Right.
That's what I would say.
You know what? I'm not exactly sure what my sound is.
Oh.
I'm sorry I can't quickly identify it.
Yeah, fair enough.
You probably would be able to do that than I.
Well, I just said it brings order to chaos. Like when I think of like Drag Me to Hell or Hellraiser or any of these horror films, you don't try to like when you listen to Goblin or stuff like it's like try to almost match the image. I don't really
Goblin matches the image you say, or
well,
does it?
it's as visceral or as like exciting as the carnage. But when you do like when the Cenobites arrive, it's like they are coming from somewhere else, man. Like another realm.
Right. Okay.
Like when I listen to Bernard Herrman's Obsession,
Yeah,
like
sure.
the heavens have opened up, man.
Yeah, I get it. I understand what you're saying.
With the French horns and the
sure.
strings.
Yeah.
There's a certain divine element. I got it. Like, whether it's like because I remember last year you're saying a lot of it was like gospel music. Growing up, going to church,
sure.
and getting that, and that kind of like seeped into your soul.
Yeah, I wouldn't say gospel music. I'd
No.
say traditional. Church, church, Episcopalian church.
Episcopalian church.
Church
Okay.
music. It's not gospel. I
Okay. I want to get it right. I don't want
No, you're right. I mean, I'm just a white kid from New Jersey. I wish it was gospel, but it wasn't.
yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, but yeah, singing in church choirs was a good thing. So I would say yes, and to answer your question, that's very hard for me to pinpoint exactly who I am as a writer in horror films, but I get calls more often than not until Sinister came around to do orchestra music. Yes. And when you're doing orchestra music, yes, you talk about the French horns and the strings. Mm-hmm. When you're doing electronic music or rock-based horror scores, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
John Carpenter, always sort of synth rock based things.
Right.
So you get grooves going, and they sort of act as a tapestry or a wallpapered sound. I hate wallpaper's the wrong word, but something that just sort of plays through scenes in a specific way. With orchestra, you have the ability to move here, move there, shift with more ease than when you're doing something that's sort of groove based. You understand what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. And Sinister is definitely a departure. It's got the electronic stuff going on.
Yeah.
When we talk about Portrait of Mr. Boogie, there's other tracks to point to that is a departure, and it's so exciting.
Yeah.
As like when you if you listen to a few of the soundtracks and you're going through, because you can do that with like imagine like someone like flipping through to the record store like to get in the crates.
Right.
And it's like okay, this sound I know. What is this? It kind of like it stands out. It's really interesting. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and it's something I've always wondered about you, but I haven't really. I don't know if I could get there. But you did the movie Deliver Us from Evil.
Deliver Us from Evil, yes.
Remember that one? And it's Eric Bana, and it's it fits into that new trend, that sort of like James Wan thing, where it's a horror movie, but it's based on like someone's like account of something.
Right, sure, true story.
The true story thing.
Yeah.
And we were talking last year specifically about Hellraiser. And I've interjected and kind of inferred that I think I see this kind of like this Christian background, this like this thinking of the divine in an interesting way,
right?
And I wanted to get your take on this like this new age like mysticism that's going on with like where people think that like spirits are walking around the earth.
Right.
What do you think of that? What do you make of this personally?
Is that new? I mean, I guess.
It's been around forever. Like the spiritism, but there's a resurgent. No, spiritism like specifically where like you can talk to like the spirit of I don't know, Thomas Hobbes or
Jimi Hendrix,
whoever. Like take your pick, right? Like a famous dead person comes to talk to you, like you talk on the table or whatever.
I didn't know it was making. I'm sorry that I'm so out of it that I don't know that it's.
It's
but
it's definitely coming back.
This is.
It's one of those movies that like kind of like
that movie
validates.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of those movies that kind of validates this like new age mysticism.
Okay,
I
wouldn't have. I just I.
So
I didn't quite catch that, but well, I'm sure it's there.
It's there. I know you probably just like did the score.
I don't remember the movie that well. I remember again the thing that strikes home to me most when I think about the score for that movie was again it was primarily electronic.
Yeah.
But there was an exorcism scene in that. And you can barely hear the music in the final dub, but that was probably my all-time favorite exorcism cue. And I've done a lot of them.
You have?
I have done a lot of them. But, so that was a twisted orchestra cue. Anyway, I can't speak for the movie and what its relevance is to this new.
Well, it's just one of this it's like a new genre almost, like a subgenre in horror, like real life horror stories based on paranormal accounts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did the other film I did with Scott Derrickson was called Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Right. And he did he did a Hellraiser movie too. Not the one you did.
He did Hellraiser.
And he did Doctor Strange.
Needed Doctor Strange.
He should have bucked you on Doctor Strange. That's another thing I would love to see. A Christopher Young Disney Marvel score.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good ones. Like I don't know if you know the Avengers theme.
Yeah. The Avengers theme
for the new one.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. No.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's good, but like you know, what you do is better. But you could totally if they hired you, I knew you would study it and you would listen to the scores. And I would have loved Christopher Young on Doctor Strange 2 or something.
Yeah.
You know, he should put you on. I don't know why. Like this is something that should happen. Yeah. Nothing's bigger than the Disney Marvel movies at the moment, right?
Right.
And I'm just saying, they owe you this.
Oh, they don't owe me anything, but I would love to. I'd love to do. You know.
It's not. Sorry, I should say they owe you. But it's just something that, like, I would say, like TV. And
I was kind of crushed that Doctor Marvel. I mean that Doctor Strange. Didn't happen, but so it goes.
What can you do?
No, you can't.
And it's not a done deal. Like there's still the future.
Yeah.
I would love to see that happen.
My brain is still rocking. I'm still ready to do some.
Ready to go.
You know, equally, if not more exciting stuff than I've done in the past.
There's no reason not to. I mean, there's no reason why it can't happen.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just is like, you know, right place, right time.
Right.
Like anything else. I want to get to. I got a couple more questions here.
Okay.
And it deals with what we were talking about, the Harvey Weinstein stuff.
Oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Stuff. Sure.
So that's like, you know, that's been like the hot news story for a couple of years now. These women coming forward, documenting their cases.
Well, not a couple of years. I think it's just kind of recent, isn't it?
It was just last year.
Yeah,
sorry. I screwed it up.
I think it's just this year.
It started like September 2017. I remember when I was in Toronto and I came back. I remember it pretty well. Like that's when the New York Times broke the Harvey Weinstein things.
Oh, really? It started happening that long? Okay.
Yeah, it's been almost a year. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And not only is it like high profile like actresses, it's like, you know, anyone in the workforce is coming. They're coming forward. I mean, it's like, to me, it's like this huge secret that was just buried for like 10,000 years, and now we're like, I mean, we all know sexual harassment happens, but like I didn't know it happened to like literally, you know, 80% of the girls I know. It's like it's crazy, and
right.
But not that you were like raped by him, but you had a deal with Harvey Weinstein.
I had a multiple picture deal with Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
Right around the time that I did Shipping News.
And it was a little frightening, wasn't it? That time?
No, I wouldn't say it was. No.
No,
I didn't.
Okay.
You know, just so we get this straight. I didn't know anything. Nor did any of the directors that I worked with.
You didn't know anything about this
stuff. We didn't know anything. I mean, it never came up in conversation. Mm-hmm. You know, you hear on the news that everybody who worked for Miramax knew that this was going on.
That's not the case.
Not the music people that I know.
Right.
I did not know. It never came up ever. A lot of directors the four Miramax directors that I work with would tell me horrible stories about what Harvey was or was not doing to their movie.
Oh.
But that was the extent of it. None of the sexual stuff ever came up. So when I heard about it, I was kind of, what?
Like everyone else.
I was shocked and saddened immensely, you know. because he was a ramrod of a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, his take on movies was unique, and
A lot of Oscar nominations.
what's that? And a lot of Oscar nominations. And I actually, he ended up. He signed me in a multiple. The only film company owner who actually signed me on a multiple picture deal. I did 4 movies for Miramax.
Wow.
And I was thrilled. After Shipping News, he wanted me to do his movies, which, of course, warmed me up to him. But the downside is that, at least my experience with him on the music end of things, is that he would allow the director to do what he wanted to do with the music, and then finally would jump in at the last minute and request changes. So virtually every director who I developed a relationship with at Miramax, I ended it with that director and Miramax trying to make Harvey happy, because the changes I had to make to the music were not to the director's liking. And they were so pissed off at me for making those changes, they moved on to different composers. That broke my heart.
That sucks.
But I was told, by my agent and by the music department, you have to make these changes. The head of the company, the guy who hired you, wants them, and if you don't do them, they're going to hire someone else to do them.
And that happened on all the movies you worked, the 4 films.
Every movie I worked on.
Why did that's amazing to me. But there was a story you told us on Rounders.
Yeah, right. Rounders were.
Well, tell me about the interaction with them.
On Rounders,
the verbal
was the score was finished.
Yeah.
The director adored it, and lo and behold, at the premiere of the movie, I'm pretty sure it was the premiere. Yeah. I was told that Harvey and his gang wanted to meet me the following morning, and so at my office at like 8 in the morning. So yes, I met him, and he asked for some major changes in the score, and I said, well, Harvey, isn't this film coming out in like 10 days? He goes, yes, we're going to get this done, and we're going to be recording on such and such a day. And
that's not how you work. You get it done ahead of time. And you need more than just 10 days.
Well, I mean, I finished them. I thought it was done. Yeah. And knowing, premiere is the end of the line. It's like, what it's saying is the film is done. But this is the only time I've been to a premiere or I've been told after the fact it's not done. So yes, I had to rewrite. He came over the next morning and had me sat down next to me and had me rewrite the main romantic theme for Matt Damon while he was sitting there. And so
he's like using his because he's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
He's being physically intimidating almost.
He's very intimidating.
Yeah.
And he's there with you got to come through. So I came up with something, and he was excited. He said, that's the theme for my movie. You got it right there. I want it. And so I rewrote a chunk of the score. We recorded it in 4 days or something. And it ended up in the movie, made him very happy, but made the director not happy at all. And that was the last movie I ever did with him.
That sucks.
But in terms of the terrible sexual misconduct in his behalf, that what can you say? That's awful, and it's inexcusable, and isn't it? I mean, his career ended overnight. It's just, how can you be so dumb as to think that's not going to catch up with you sooner or later? Here he had a brilliant career, and he thought like no one else did in every other department but what was going on between his legs,
Yeah, he was breaking into people's houses and raping them in their kitchens.
I don't know exactly what the details are, but suffice to say,
he would have Mossad guys, Israeli intelligence officers cover his ass while he would rape people in their kitchens.
I could have thought that he was going to get away with that. I guess Hollywood has always, has always behaved like this. The cat, we hear stories.
Buried history,
We hear stories, vague stories about the casting couch.
Right.
All women have been historically afraid to talk about what the casting couch is really all about, and who are the types that require that kind of, prerequisite behavior on them. It was always kept quiet, and I think, of course it's great that it's finally coming out. Of course it's great, I don't.
It's hard to
It's so
put into words. It's so scary, right?
Yeah.
And as guys, a couple of English speaking white guys, there's this other side of the world. We just we can empathize, but we can't fully understand because we are it's not that life isn't hard, but the fact that we are English speaking white guys, that part of it isn't hard.
Yeah.
makes life a little bit easier, and
Right.
we don't have to deal with this BS. And for you to actually know the guy and have dealt with him on four movies,
but
and then learn this.
Yeah, and then
I'm sure is incredibly disturbing.
Yeah, it had been years since I'd worked for Miramax.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very disturbing, and
But it's also good to know be on the record, hey, we were musicians. We didn't know this stuff.
yeah, I did not know this stuff. I honestly did not know this stuff.
Right.
Nor do I believe the directors. They never talked about it, so it wasn't like we were operating knowing that this was going on, turning our backs to it, because it meant us. If we turned and faced it and tried to do something about it, we might have lost our careers, at least or lost our jobs at Miramax. Sorry, we didn't know at the time. But this is a wonderful thing that it's finally coming out.
Yeah.
And maybe fingers crossed, it's really going to make a permanent difference.
One hopes.
Yeah.
We'll see in 100 years. No, we won't. But hopefully we will.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll change. So on a much lighter note, what do you got coming up next? Besides the great concert.
There's a concert that's going to come out. Yes, that's going to be happening. Let's see here. There's a film that I finished scoring for Fox a month and a half ago called The Empty Man. And it's my first time doing a major studio movie in a while. And I'm totally thrilled about this. It was directed by David Pryor, a first-time director who had directed special feature promotional or movies on the making of such or an interview with the director.
I love stuff like that, though.
That's stuff like that. He'd been doing that and had wanted to do a feature. Has been wanting to do features and did this incredibly great movie. Oh, I'm so excited about it. How do I describe the movie? If you ever saw the film Angel Heart.
Oh, yeah, with De Niro and Mickey Rourke.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those twisted mind messed movies where
I like that.
somebody thinks they're somebody and discovers they're not, like Mickey Rourke. And that's exactly
mistaken identity, stuff like that. Yeah,
mistaken identity and the horror of discovering what your life story is really all about.
Ooh. And this is your first big score.
It's
every score's big.
Yeah, what I'm saying it's big.
And Wilson's
big
Heart
studio,
is really cool.
A studio. It's the first Fox movie I've done in years.
How long has it been since a big Cineplex?
Major studio movie. A while. I'm not even going to guess, but it's been a while.
Huh.
So I think maybe the last one was were the Tyler Perry movies.
That wasn't that long ago, though. Was that 3 or 4 years ago?
Something like that. 3 or 4 years ago. That's long enough.
That's long enough. You feel like every year you gotta have that under your belt.
The minute you drift
it's very competitive.
away, Mm-hmm. Film composers, when we're on the top of our game, we're doing 3-4 movies a year. We're in demand.
That's cool.
So this was good. The director was thrilled. More importantly, or equally as importantly, the music department loved spending time with me, and I wanted to make sure that they had a great ride.
Yeah.
And I'm just the luckiest guy in the world, absolutely luckiest guy in the world that they had me come back.
Yeah.
And it was like, I've been missing, I drive by Fox, and I remember there was a time where I could drive on the lot, and they would know me there.
That's
and
cool.
That ends. You never know when it's going to end.
No.
And then it ends, and then of course you drive by, and you can't help but pull over to the side of the road and cry.
Aw.
Seriously, I mean,
Really?
Oh God, yes.
It's a tough business, huh?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. You're in, then you're out, you're out. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not.
But when you have a taste,
Yeah, when you have a taste, you never want it to go away. And of
it's
course,
the biggest high ever.
When you're on the ride, when you're on the wave, you think it's going to ride for. I mean, it's like this is totally. It's like you've heard this story a million times.
Yeah.
Someone getting on the wave and thinking it's going to last forever, but it doesn't. So I thank my lucky stars I got a chance to go around again. I'm thanking everybody all the time.
Yeah.
On the Fox team, and I'm hoping now to I'm up for another movie, and I pray to God it happens. It's a Paramount movie.
Oh, it's a Paramount movie.
And it's a horror movie.
Ooh. Well,
And I got my fingers crossed. We had interviews just before I came up here.
Did you?
It's looking kind of hopefully okay.
Okay, well, we're going to stay hip to that.
That's all. I can't tell you the name of it.
No. I wouldn't ask.
It's a remake of a famous.
It's a remake.
Remake of a famous.
Have you done remakes before?
No,
I
don't think
no, I don't think so. No, I'm just trying to. No.
Well,
I've
The
heard of
Grudge.
places.
The
The
technically were
Ju-on.
remakes of the Japanese Ju-on.
movie, yeah. But never like a old time.
No.
So, that's cool though.
So that's kind of cool.
So
there's
that's
a
one thing.
concert of music happening of mine
Yeah.
overseas on the island, the Canary Island, Tenerife.
Oh, okay.
Tenerife next month. I've got some stuff being performed there.
That's
So that's
cool.
a concert overseas. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I think the concert is what if you're in Ottawa, go to LA. We actually do have some LA fans. If you're in LA and you're listening to this, you got to see the great Christopher Yen on the stage.
I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I'll certainly, once the stage and the date is known, I'm going to advertise it to all hell and con. And,
Better at least go on the website. I'll check it out there.
Yeah, and I would be, so thrilled to have the opportunity to meet anyone who has followed what I've been doing, who comes from Canada to come down there.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to make myself accessible to anyone who wants to chat, and I would be totally honored to have you there, of course.
That would be,
And
dream of
anyone you
a
can
fantasy.
talk into coming down too.
All right, well, thank you so much.
All right, my friend.
It's always fun.